Hello again. We're halfway through August already. And a couple of thoughts this morning about reacting to what happens to you in the world. This quote came across my desk a few years ago and I wrote it down, pinned it up on the wall, and then it occurred to me again recently, so I wanted to share it with you. So I'll read it for you. It's from Marcus Aurelius. Does what's happened keep you from acting with justice, generosity, self-control, sanity, prudence, honesty, humility, straightforwardness, and all the other qualities that allow a person's nature to fulfill itself? Right? And the obvious answer is no. There's not anything that can happen to you that keeps you from acting in the best way possible. Now, granted, we all fail at this over and over. You can think of times in your life, I can think of times in my life when I have not reacted well, when I have failed to act in these ways. And again, you look at this list, this is how you would want somebody to react to you. This is how you would want to react if you're doing the very best that you can. But being tired, being stressed, there's things that come into play that hinder us from doing this to our very best, right? But there's not anything actually in the world. There's nothing that can happen that won't allow you to act this way, right? So again, you have a choice in how you react to things. So a related concept that I've heard recently in some podcasts is that thinking about life not as life happening to you, but life happening for you. So whatever happens was something that you needed at that point in your life, and there's probably some way to learn from it, to grow from that. If you think of life as just happening to you, it tends to foster a victim mentality. And you're not really a victim unless you choose to be. Even if you look at Holocaust survivors, they talk about their choice. Viktor Frankl, the obvious one that has written about this, that you still have a choice even in the worst possible situation. Now granted, that's not to downplay anybody who has had terrible things happen to them. I'm not saying that, but no matter what it is, you have a choice in how you respond to it. Right? And one other thought related to playing the victim. So sort of a funny story. When I was in college, I had appendicitis. All right, so now that story, if it ever comes up again, and if I go to the hospital for something, they want to know prior surgeries, I should just say I had appendicitis, right? And I actually I had some complications and had an abscess after that and ended up in the ICU, right? But when I've told that story in the past, I tell people that I had acute perforated gangrenous appendicitis. And why do I say that? It's probably to play the victim, right? That sounds much worse than appendicitis. And that's actually what's on my path report, because after medical school, I got my records because I was curious about my whole time, because when I had appendicitis, I wasn't in medicine yet. I was in undergrad. So my path report says acute perforated gangrenous appendicitis, which means my appendix ruptured and it was starting to get really, really bad and really messy, right? But that doesn't matter. I don't need to tell anybody that anymore, because my story should just be I had appendicitis. That's a fact of what happened to me. All the other stuff is kind of irrelevant. But I see patients do this all the time. And that's why I started thinking about this and examining my own life and how I've done this myself. Because when I ask a patient about somebody that had their gallbladder out, and they'll tell me the doctor said it was the worst gallbladder they've ever seen. When I talk to patients with fractures who have had back surgery or a car accident or anything, whatever that thing is the worst. Somebody will have said that's the worst thing that they have ever seen. And the patient, it seems almost like they're wearing it like a badge of honor, right? Like, I've gone through something terrible, so I should get more street cred because I've been through this terrible thing. And as I've seen this over the years and thinking about it in my own life, again, everybody seems to do this. Everybody wants to get some credibility for something awful that they've been through. And the bottom line is everybody's had awful stuff, right? There's not anybody who has not had terrible things happen to them. Right, so we're kind of all on a level playing field. And my acute perforated gangrenous appendicitis is not any worse than anybody else's gallbladder or their fracture or their car accident or whatever the thing was. So in my own mind, I don't need to play that card anymore. When I tell that story, I had appendicitis. That needs to be the end of my story. So, and going forward, anything bad that happens to me, I need to keep this quote in mind. Right, no matter what it is, I have a choice in how I respond to it. And I can respond at my best and aim for responding in all these good ways, no matter what it is. So have a good week.